Secret sauce is sponsoring people. That's just all there is to it. And I'm going to always have a new guy. That's just been my rule.
Well, hello, friends of Bill W. and other friends. You have landed on Sober Speak. My name is John M. I am an alcoholic, and we are glad you are all here, especially newcomers. Newcomers, that is, both to recovery as a whole and newcomers to this podcast. Sober Speak is a podcast about recovery centered around the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job here on Sober Speak is simple. My job is to provide a platform to the amazing stories of recovery all around us. Consider Sober Speak, if you will, your meeting between meetings. Please remember, we do not speak for AA or any 12-step community. We represent only ourselves. We are here to share our experience, strength, and hope with those who wish to come along for the ride. Take what you want and leave the rest at the curb for the trash man to pick up. Greetings from Studio AA, deep in the heart of Texas. That was the voice of my friend, Mr. Ricky C., that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and you are going to hear so much more from Ricky in just a moment. But first things first, this here episode. This one right here, episode number 445, is brought to you by, it's made possible by Nathan, Audrey, Mike, Christina, Tim, and Brad. And so you wonder, you think to yourself, what exactly did Nathan, Audrey, Mike, Christina, Tim, and Brad do? Well, they swung by our humble little website, www.soberspeak.com, maintained by the lovely Mrs. M. They clicked on the little yellow donation tab and they made a contribution. So thank you so much, Nathan, Audrey, Mike, Christina, Tim, and Brad. This here episode is coming right out to Ewans. So just saying a little prayer before I started, and I know I've talked about this before, but I don't know why I want to repeat it. It just means a lot to me. So I sit here kind of with my eyes closed and my mouth on the mic, and I picture, in fact, I'm doing it right now again. I close my eyes and I picture folks that are possibly listening to this episode, to this podcast, and I picture people that are maybe in a gym working out. Picture folks that are driving. Maybe they're sitting on their bed at home underneath a blanket with their earbuds in. And I also picture people that are sitting in treatment and listening to this and looking for a way out. Picture people who are incarcerated, listening in to silly little podcasts that we go in here and hoping that we can provide a little bit of hope around the world somewhere, somehow. And you guys mean a lot to me. You know, and this is just a weird. Oh, I shouldn't say these things. So, like, okay, you know, they had that movie a long time ago with Robin Williams called Good Morning Vietnam, right? And he'd come on and go, Good Morning Vietnam, and he'd, kind of do his little thing. And this is a weird fear that I have. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and get it out there now. I shouldn't say this. I know this is so weird, but I picture sometimes that we, as a world, go into World War III or whatever, and somehow somebody figures out that I have this podcast and they want to do harm to me. And so what they do is they come to my house and they they say we're going to make him drink alcohol, pour alcohol down this guy's throat. And then I kind of go through I carry it out a little bit. And then I kind of go through the scenario of, okay, all right, so let's just say that happened to me, right? And all these bad people came in and did this thing. Like the next day, would I have to change my sobriety date because these people did it to me? Don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why I think about those sorts of things, but I do, and I'm sure you have some weird fears of your own. So I'm about to. Right now it's Friday night, and I'm recording this, and I'm about to. So I'm gonna ask the lovely Mrs. M if she wants to go out and have a little dinner, and I'm hoping that she does. But sometimes she's kind of in a mood. In other words, sometimes she doesn't feel like going out. Not in a bad mood. She just doesn't feel like going out. She's kind of a homebody, right? And so anyway, I'm going to see how that goes in just a little bit. But maybe I'll report back next week. All right. Oh, one thing that I almost forgot here to announce is that many of you have listened to David G. In fact, David G is the sponsor of the guy that you're about to hear here, Mr. Ricky C. And David G is going to be not sponsoring. He's going to be he's going to be doing a step study. Okay, so we've talked about this before when David has been on, and I've had a lot of people reach out and they say, hey, I can't get to North Texas, or, let me know next time he's doing it in North Texas so we can get to that study. And so he does a yearly step study here with a group that is all in North Texas, mainly in Frisco, Texas. But obviously people can't make it to that if they live in Connecticut, especially coming in, once a week. So what we're going to do is we're going to and there's a post that I put out in the Facebook group, the super secret Facebook group. I put it out like, I don't know, a couple months ago or something like that. And I just said, hey, what do you all need? How can we serve better? And one of the suggestions that came out of that was doing a step study. So we're going to be having a step study on Tuesday night. And I think, I'm not looking at the date, I think it's May 27th is going to be the start date. And I'll have more information coming forth about that. And by the way, if you're not on our newsletter, it'll all be in the newsletter. Go to soberspeak.com and there's a sign up for our newsletter thingy bob on the site, or you could just email me, say, hey, John, JOHN at soberspeak.com, and I'll just get you on there. All right. I've got connections. I can do it. But we're going to be having that David G step study. And so like I said, it's going to be virtual. So we'll all be able to see each other. And I think David's going to break people out into small groups and we'll just have a little fun. And like I said, so it's one or two things. Either get the information through the newsletter that I'll be sending out, or it's not up there yet, but I'm sure the lovely Mrs. M will put something up on the website for us real soon. It'll probably be under resources or something like that. I don't know yet. It's not up there, but by the time you hear this, it'll probably be there. No, anyway, that's enough out of me. All right. So I'm going to because we got so much listener feedback this week, I'm putting a couple of these pieces of feedback on the beginning of the episode, and then I'll read some more on the back end, and I probably still won't get to all of it, but here's a couple of pieces of feedback that we got this week. Penelope writes in, and she says, 3 million. Wow. Okay, so what she's saying there is that by God's grace and because of you all, we have gotten 3 million downloads for this silly little podcast. And It's all because of you guys. I'm just a voice at a mic here, and they come in to, I don't know how much they come in to hear me, but I know they come in to hear our guests. And I'm so thankful for all the guests for 440, what did I say this, 445 episodes that have come in and spent time with me and created great content. I'm just so thankful for all of you. So thankful. Anyway, yeah, she says okay, I had sent out a newsletter, and it said in the newsletter that we had 3 million downloads. And so Penelope's replying here. She says, 3 million, wow. You and the lovely Mrs. M must feel very validated for your work. Yes, and I also want to throw in here Miss Cassandra, who does our Instagram posts like 3-4 times a week. She is fantastic at it. If you're not throwing in, if you're not throwing, if you're not following her, us on Instagram, go to @SoberSpeak, all one word, and you definitely want to follow us. But anyway, Penelope says, I'm a friend of Lois. That's great. And for those of you who don't know what that means that she is in Al-Anon. And have listened to your podcast weekly since you interviewed Spencer years ago. She's talking about Spencer T., my friend on the Recovery Show. And she says, at that time, my daughter was in the wind and into drugs, in the wind. Your podcast brought me hope as I listened to so many miraculous recoveries. She came back into my life 3 years ago and is doing well. I'm so glad to hear that. By that time, I was totally hooked on Sober Speak and your wonderful guest. I love the way you ask a question and sit back and let them talk without interfering. I also enjoy listening to your shares about your family. I'm so glad you're learning to enjoy dogs. Yes, that has been quite a journey. And then she says, I miss Gary K. I hope he's doing well. And I replied and I copied her on the email with Gary K. And Gary K is doing just fine. I'm trying to get him back over here to record pretty soon. He's a busy guy. And then she says, thank you so much for for your stories of hope and recovery and your down-to-earth honesty. I look forward to your podcast every week, and some of them I've listened to more than once. Say hello to your lovely wife. Here's to another 3 million at least. Sincerely, Penelope. Well, thank you, Penelope. I really appreciate you writing in. That was very kind of you. And I copied the lovely Mrs. M and Gary on that email. Patrick writes in, and Patrick says, hey, John, I really appreciate your service to the community. I've received outreach from people who heard the episodes which I did with you a few years back and have been able to help people find recovery. That's what recovery is all about. Patrick B. And then he signs it, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. I messed that up. Let me say it again. This is a signature. It's a quote from, I hope I got this right, Lao Tzu. And he says, the quote is, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Ah, very nice. So Patrick is actually a member of OA, and we recorded him, it's probably 3 or 4 years ago or so now. And I'm so glad that people have heard that and been able to benefit from Patrick's story. And thank you so much, Patrick, for writing in. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Now on to Mr. Ricky C. Ricky C is from Plano, Texas. And we're calling this one, Sponsorship is the Secret Sauce. In this episode, we discuss how AA and God are love. Ricky's 19 years in and out of the program. For those of you who've been going in and out, this is a hopeful story for you. What living a happy and purposeful life is all about, the importance of music to Ricky both in sobriety and before sobriety, Ricky's journey with his children and his wife, the lovely Miss Felicia, and while drinking, and after he got sober as well. And part of that journey included a letter that his own son wrote when he introduced Ricky on his 4th birthday. And Ricky gets to read that letter on this episode. How sponsorship is the secret of sobriety. Obviously, that's the title of the program, the title of the episode, and how to survive the certain trials and low spots ahead, and much, much more. Ladies and gents, I present to you Mr. Ricky C., and we will have plenty of listener feedback at the end of the episode. Enjoy. Okay, everybody. So today we are sitting here with Mr. Ricky C. And Ricky's a good friend of mine. First things first, Ricky, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, give your sobriety date if you wish, and tell people where you live in this great land of ours, city and state.
Hello, guys. I'm Ricky, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is September 30th of 2020. I live in McKinney, and I drive to the good AA in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. When you say September 30th, 2020, all of us in the group, and you know this many times over, say, you are a miracle. Because the ones who were there before 2020 think, oh my gosh, how did this guy make it? Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'll just tell people how this occurred. So we went to, both Ricky and I attend something called the Sunday Survivors meeting. And we just got out of that. Ricky and I were sitting just kind of having a conversation in the parking lot. And I don't know, it just kind of, in my mind, I said, hey, Ricky, do you want to come over right now? And he was like for, for what? And finally I said, I don't know, I just want to record a little audio with you. He kind of picked up the gist that I wanted to record an episode here. And now we're sitting here. You stopped and got, a drink or something on the way over. What is that right there?
Panera's. It's a bubbly. I got a bubbly. It's so good. Oh my God. This is my drink of choice.
Really?
That and Topo Chico.
Okay, so it's like a basically carbonated water there, right?
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water? And what's the difference between that Panera water and I guess what you would get at I don't know, just like out of a fountain or something?
I guess because it's carbonated and it is a fountain drink, actually. It's yummy. Oh my God, I love it.
Does it have any taste to it?
It tastes like lime.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good.
I may have to try that out sometime. All right. So we were in the parking lot. You came over, and I know that you have. Okay, so, I'm sorry. First, let me pause because you came in, and the first thing you said here coming into my house is, "So this is Studio AA."
I didn't picture it like this. I thought it was going to be like a real studio. It's a home office, but it's like, it is a real studio. It's cool.
That's right.
And I figured I would see the 12 steps on the wall and the traditions and the concepts. And instead, I'm looking at Hawaii, Texas, and Florida.
Yeah,
I love it.
My wife put those up there, and she wanted to put like 3 states behind me. Okay, see that desk right there? I do a lot of work there for work, corporate job work, right?
Yeah.
And then so she wanted to put that up there because a lot of times they're, like when you're on Zoom calls, you get to see this kind of stuff behind you. And the idea there is that Florida, we used to live in Florida. Texas is in the center because it's our home state. It's where we really have most of our life together. And then Hawaii, we went to our honeymoon for that. So
sweet.
That's what the 3 references are. Right?
Awesome.
But maybe I should put the 12 steps and the 12 traditions and the 12 concepts up there too. But this is a multi-purpose room. And then there I watch football games on that TV right there. And, just we have all kinds of stuff.
And you have a rhinoceros? I love it.
Yeah. Okay, stay close. All right. So All right, let's talk about your story a little bit. And it truly is a miracle. Where do you want to start? Like, you want to start when you were growing up? Do you want to start like a few years ago? What are your when you tell your story? Where do you usually start?
Golly, I start from the beginning because that's how, I was nervous about coming on here because all my heroes have been probably in this chair. David G,
Yeah.
Ricky Russell, and
Yeah.
Gary Kincaid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like Casey Walters.
Yeah.
He'll be in my story a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, when I grew up, okay, so I grew up in an alcoholic home, and and I always felt different, right? I always felt less than, and I just knew that I wasn't good enough, and that's how I felt. And I would go to I would be the last one picked in sports, and that hurt my pride real bad. But because I was a funny guy, as you can see, I make people laugh in meetings, and that's not even trying to. It's just my natural personality. But because I was that funny guy that was always friendly to people, I didn't have to be the last one picked. I was second to the last, but it still hurt my pride, and I wasn't very good. I mean, like it seems like I'd always be up to bat when the bases were loaded and it was the end of the season, and I'd hear someone in the crowd say, "Oh shit, Ricky's up," and it was hard on my ego, and I was sensitive too. I was so sensitive as a child. I would hear I had this I had this second grade teacher, and we went to Mary Immaculate, and she was really cool. She was, think about a flower child girl. She was real pretty. She was a good teacher, and she would sing "Puff the Magic Dragon" to us. And when she was singing it, and then she'd get to the part where the little boy grows up and the dragon's left all alone. I would literally cry.
Mhm.
I was so sensitive, and if I had a beer then, I probably would have drank it. That's how I was as a child, and God. And then I remember when we went to in the second like in the second grade same year, we ended up going to Galveston for to go visit to go to my mom's mom, and my dad told me something that was real weird at that time. He said there is no Santa Claus, and I was like, and I was like, what? We were going to go upstairs, and he goes, look, the real reason we're going here is because it's to let your mom see her mom for Christmas, and that's the true meaning of Christmas. And it was both sad and heartbreaking because I wanted gifts, and we didn't get gifts, but my dad showed me the true meaning of Christmas, that it was love, right? And he was an alcoholic too, but he was sober at the time. And we got back to school the next day, and that after the holidays were over, and I remember my teacher asking us what we got for Christmas, and I said, well, I didn't get anything because there is no Santa Claus, but what I got was the true message of love, and that's like what AA is, right? AA is love, and God is love. That's my higher power, it seems. And when my dad was good, he was good, and when he was drinking, he was destructive, kind of like me. And I remember, God, like in the third grade, we ended up going to um, I didn't. It was a badge of honor to go to Galveston for the summer, and I didn't want to go, but but I wanted to act big in front of my cousins, and we ended up going to Galveston. I ended up going to Galveston by myself, and I remember for 3 months it was like a huge depression because I missed my family. I missed my family that much, but I didn't have it in my heart to say that that I'm alone and stuff, and it was just a traumatic time, and for 3 months I was just a broken kid in this funk, and there was dysfunction in that household too. And when I say there was dysfunction in my house, I mean my dad was not near as bad as my uncle was, and it just scared me. And for 3 months I was just a scared, frightened little kid in Galveston, wishing that that I could see my mom again, and I could see my brothers and sisters. And when they would call, when my little sister would call, and she would say, "Ricky, please come home. I'll never fight with you again. She'd write me letters, and I'd end up crying in my heart. But then when my mother would call saying, "Are you okay?" I'd say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." But I discovered in my fifth step that I've always been dishonest, and I always wore this mask, and it got just so sad, John. I was just a broken little kid, and it went on for 3 months, and when I got back home, I was grateful, and it was over. But that just left and it left a big scar in my heart. And I remember always telling my brothers and sisters that my mom don't love me, and I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false. It's like I caused all that dysfunction. We was in a meeting right now, and Rick Rogers said, "What should I have done instead?" Well, maybe I should have been more truthful. But as a kid, I have all these moral and philosophical convictions that I just can't live up to, and especially as a kid, and I couldn't live up to any of my of like being honest or sincere or being forthcoming and truthful. But I can a little bit better now that I'm in the program of AA.
You mentioned Galveston there. So Galveston's, first of all, and I also want to mention one of our good friends together, Joe Mick, who you actually introduced me to.
Oh yeah.
From Galveston. And can you tell that story about the time you were in Galveston and you were walking around and you had, I don't know, you were trying to stay sober and you didn't get sober. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh, I
about?
know exactly what you're talking about. So this is I guess it's 2019, and because of that, how our lives get unmanageable, the unmanageability. I was trying to get sober, and I was in Dallas, and I was in McKinney, and I ended up getting in an altercation with my family. And next thing you know, my wife sends me to Galveston for a little while, and
And when you say she sends you to Galveston, how does that work? Is there like a Uber that takes you there?
no, I had to drive. I had to pack my truck up, and they packed it up for me. I took all my guitars because I play guitar. I took my effects box. I just took everything. And I was really into guitar playing at the time. And geez, I get to Galveston, and
And is there like a house that, do y'all have
oh,
a house in Galveston?
I had 90 days sobriety at the time.
Okay.
And but the unmanageability is real. I hadn't worked the steps, and I got into a huge fight
Yeah.
at home, and I left, and I was angry and pissed off, and I ended up going to Galveston, and I didn't know what I was going to do in Galveston. I figured I'd stay sober, but you know what? We
Do
can't.
you have a house down there? Where do you stay?
My mom has a house.
Okay, your mom has a house. So there's a
They sent me to the Galveston house to live with my mom.
okay.
And that's 90 days into sobriety. And I was thinking Michelle M had given me my chip, and I thought, oh, this is special. I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life because Michelle gave it to me. And Michelle is amazing, right? And she's been my friend since, when they say I'm a miracle, like you said at the beginning of the episode, for 20 years I had been in and out of AA,
Yeah.
in and out of AA, and I just thought, well, this is going to be it. But even the magic of Michelle giving me my 90-day chip didn't work because I can't recall with sufficient force the suffering and humiliation of a week, a month, 4 hours, or 3 months ago. My defense must come from a higher power, and I hadn't worked 12 steps yet. So I'm restless, irritable, and discontent. I'm living page 52 in real life. I can't handle my emotional natures. I'm full of fear. I'm prey to misery and depression. I'm worried all the time, and I definitely can't make a living. And when it's talking about living, it's talking about a purposeful, driven life that I would be happy and sober. And that's my definition of making a living, being happy and sober. For the first time in my life, I'm happy and sober, John, and that's a miracle, right? So I get to Galveston. I have 91 days. I will say 92 probably. And then there's this band playing next door to and I walk over there because I'm interested. I'm curious by nature, and I want to go look and see. I play guitar. I think, well, I'm going to go check out and see if I can jam out with these guys, at least pass the time. And mind you, I'm 92 days sober. I go in there I'm standing outside of the garage, and I ask them, they're looking at me and they're saying, do we need to turn it down? And I go, no, man, can you let me sit in? And they handed me a guitar. And man, you know what? How I felt like after I played that first song, I felt like I had arrived once again because what I can do is play guitar, and it was good. And next thing you know, they're praising me and thinking, "Hey, all right," and they even let me join the band. It was good. And after that first song, they had a big old ice chest full of beer. It was it was a big old round thing, stainless steel, and it was, and they offered me a beer, and I thought for one second, I go, oh, I can't drink a beer anymore, but because I'm down here to get sober and chill out. But what did I do? I drank that beer, and what did I do? I drank another one, and next thing you know, because of the phenomenon of craving, I'm drunk. And when we were leaving, oh, by the way, these guys are policemen. They were cops, and they told me, we got good and drunk, and I said, well, they said, whatever you do, do not go to that house around the corner because there's bad people that live there.
Oh no.
And I go, oh hell no, I'll never go there. And what did I do? I was drunk, and I'm knocking on that door, and they go, what do you want? I go, well, what do you got? Next thing you know, I'm tweaking, and I'm not even a meth person. And I had to sneak around the alley to get over there, and I had to go around and make sure I wasn't on any ring cameras, and hiding from the police. And I went back, and it looked like the Grinch that stole Christmas trying to get over there, and my mom was peeking out the window, and I scored because I kept going back there. But here's the deal: one drink, and I'm toast. And the big book says it. Most chronic alcoholics are doomed. Doomed means marked for death. So I'm walking around Galveston barefoot. My truck's in a ditch overlooking the seawall, and I'm wondering how I got here, and I'm too afraid to call anyone. I have a good cousin that lives in Galveston that could have came and got me, but I had so much shame, and I was beat down, and I walked for 5 hours. I didn't even have my shoes barefoot. And I ended up calling my wife, and she knew I was on to something. And so I'd been in Galveston for 30 days at the time. And next thing you know, she says, we need to get you back home. And I came back home.
Okay, let's talk about your lovely wife, by the way. I know her. Can I say her name?
Sure.
Felicia, right? She's a wonderful lady. Anyway, I know what she has been through throughout the many years, and she's in Al-Anon.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I hope she doesn't mind us breaking her anonymity.
She doesn't mind.
Okay. All right. So she's in Al-Anon. And how many years y'all been married?
We've been married 20 years. We celebrated 20 this last year.
Okay, so for the first 15, though, I guess it was kind of rough.
She served me divorce 2 times. My first time we went to the convention together, right? The Texas State Convention, and there was Ron and Michelle, and Ron says, you're Felicia? You deserve a Purple Heart. And Felicia says, well, I was doing a little self-talk, and I think I do deserve a Purple Heart. And it's like, man, I was thinking, Ron, be quiet. But yeah, she's, we put our loved ones through hell.
Yeah, you had a few restraining orders. Am I right about that?
2 protective orders.
Yeah.
And she served me divorce 2 times.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I learned in my 5th step that she always loved me. She just wanted to protect the children, and
right.
that I can't differentiate the truth from the false. I always thought she was that, what, and I hated my mother-in-law, and it's like, life has gotten better because my mother-in-law gave me my 5-year coin last year.
Oh.
Man, it was a miracle. It was a miracle.
And so I also want to talk about, many of us would see you throughout the years coming in and out and in and out. And I don't know what you were on, but I knew you weren't right? And I had a feeling it was more than alcohol.
Oh,
what were you experimenting with, so to speak?
Okay, so my last 7 years of pre-AA, like from 2015 to 2020, 5 years maybe, I was on 3 different controlled substances that the doctors prescribed me. I would go to the doctor for, I had shoulder surgeries. I had 2 shoulder reconstructions and a knee replacement, and I got hooked on the pills, and I was like on 150 hydrocodone, 120 Xanax, and like 120 it was called Folklin ER. It's like Adderall, but I would snort them. I would snort my medication, and I wasn't right, man. I was an outright mental defective in full flight from reality.
You would snort it, huh?
I would snort it. I would wake up in the morning snorting, and I'd go to bed taking 2 Xanax to go to sleep. And I did that for 5 years, and no wonder Felicia thought I was crazy, and everyone thought I was crazy.
Well, you were, and so
I was. Yeah. I remember calling my sponsor, tell David, when we had the meeting just now, and it was about our loved ones, and David would call. I would call David. David, she's crazy, and David G would say, "You know how I know she's crazy? Because she's still married to you." and what's funny is if I'd have shared in the meeting today, I would have said, "Well, I fielded a call like that because I had a sponsee calling, asking me." What's wrong with his wife? I go, well, the problem is she is crazy because she's still with you. And that's what we do, man. We make it's a family disease, right? I've had so much issues with my children and actually my son, but he's doing better because of the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
my
your
wife,
kids. I know you talk about your kids. I don't know if you want to say their names on here or not, but anyway, I know that your kids are a big part of your life, and I know you love them, and I hear you talk about them all the time and how much they mean to you.
Oh, they're amazing. And like I said, the last 5 years, I was in and out of AA. I was going to different meetings. I went to 5 different meetings, you guys, just to
spread it out.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get a desire chip at the same place. It's embarrassing. And what happened to me, my story was I went to the McKinney group like in 2019, and Casey Walters was telling his story, and man, this is pivotal, and because it changed the trajectory of my sobriety. He had such a good message. He was, the message that we must carry that can interest us must have depth and weight. If we are to, I'm paraphrasing, if we are to be successful, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Casey had this message, and I remember meeting him in the parking lot. And he's on another podcast. I don't know the name of it, but he's talking about me. I was at work listening to it, and he was talking about this guy named Ricky who he met in the parking lot who was crazy. And I was, right? And I ended up coming back to Frisco. I had a resentment against Frisco because I just couldn't get sober there. So I just, and I was it must have been a lot of shame and guilt. I just didn't want to go back, but I ended up going back to Frisco to find Casey Walters, and I met David Greenleaf there. And it was a good moment in my life because I didn't know at the time, but after I met with David, he sends me a text saying, I think you need to go to rehab and you need psychiatric services and a little outpatient. And I showed my wife that, and Felicia was off to the races with that one. She was gonna follow through with that. I go, man, this guy's crazy. He thinks I need to go to rehab. And we had this big old fight, and she tried to throw me out, and the cops came, and they said, well, he doesn't have to leave, ma'am. He lives here. I hadn't done nothing wrong. And next thing you know, we go and see David that night, and here we heard him telling the story, and Sarah was in there. Sarah was in the parking lot. Me and Felicia were still arguing.
And tell them Sarah is David.
Oh yeah, Sarah is David's wife. Yeah. She's my sponsor-in-law.
Yeah, sponsor-in-law.
That's what I call her. Anyway, she changed my life too. I wasn't going to do it, and then Sarah told me, Ricky, do it for your kids, and I could do that, right? And they always say you got to do sobriety you got to do it for yourself, man. I have to call. For me, that's not my story. I did it for my children, and that's really what it amounts to for me. I had to do it for my children, and when I had that in mind, I was able to just have a fighting chance. And the times that Felicia would, she'd serve me, she'd come over, and I have doors locked, but she'd somehow get in, and she would say, "Didn't you go to rehab?" I go, "Well, you're divorcing me. What does it matter?" And she says, "Go fight for our family." And I would go fight for our family, and she'd call the divorce off. And this went on so many times, right? The book talks about Bill had written his wife many sweet promises. Well, I told Felicia that I would help her, but I never could live up to that because I hadn't done the work yet. I needed a new experience. And when I met David, he changed my life. I've had so many sponsors, and some were really good, and some a lot of them just didn't teach me the way of the book. But the way I'm learning now is that, we have to do it, and we have to do it pretty quickly. If you're like me, you can't mess around with it for 6 months and think that you're going to be sober. And I had guys like that would sponsor me for 6 months, and we haven't done one step. And that just doesn't work for an alcoholic like me, because it centers in my mind.
Okay, so David says you need to go to rehab. You and Felicia get into a disagreement about that. You eventually end up going because for your kind of, for the motivation of it, at least was for your kids. And so you end up doing that. So what happens from there? What was I guess that turning point when you came in this time? Because you've been in AA many times before, right? What was there something in you? Was it David's guidance? What was it that kind of got you over the hump?
I think it was that there's a line in the book that says an alcoholic has to be badly mangled before he commences to solve its problems. Well, when I got that last protective order, I ended up out in Aubrey, Texas, and what happened for me was,
just out of curiosity, like how do you end up in Aubrey, Texas? Like, was there a hotel out there? Or
no, my brother had a ranch house.
Okay, gotcha.
And when we got there, I remember I went and bought a case of beer, and I had it out in the truck, and I asked Chris, "Can I bring this in?" Felicia says I can't have beer, and my little brother Chris goes, "Of course you can have beer, man. What's what we do? We drink here." And for 3 months I couldn't see my wife or my kids, and the book talks about it too. Blotting ourselves into that unconscionable state of whatever, unconsciousness. That's what I was doing. I drank till I couldn't drink no more, and I called the pill doctors back up, and I was in full blown relapse. And for 90 days during the pandemic, I was just drinking every day, and drinking to forget, and drinking to drown out the pain. And what changed that time is I got beat down again. I couldn't. There was a band. My little brother plays guitar too, and there was a band playing in the next room because it's the pandemic. They had parties every night, but I was in that room just sad and crying. And what happened was I'd become that little boy in Galveston again, missing my family. And I just knew that and I had charges too for family violence. I didn't hit them, but I robbed their security. I robbed their state of mind. I was breaking things, and and it happens every time. It's like a balloon that's going to pop. If I'm sober, but if I'm dry and I'm not drinking, but I have this crazy mind and I haven't worked the steps, I just end up going crazy. I'm either going to kill someone or kill myself or break things. And in that case, I was breaking things, and the police came, and Clancy talks about that balloon that's going to pop. My balloon always popped, and I'd end up wondering why I was getting hauled off in handcuffs again, sober pretty much. I remember that last time the police came, it'd been 2 months since I'd had my last drink, but I knew they were on their way because my wife says the police are coming, and I ran downstairs to the garage. It's summertime, and the Texas heat, and I had a beer down there hidden, but I hadn't drank it. I drank warm beer because the police were coming, and it was nasty. and I smelled like beer when they got there, and they said, "Why didn't you call your sponsor?" And it's like, yeah, right. But I ended up going to jail sober once again. It was miserable. That was my life. And man, I am so grateful for this program and the tools that I have now. And when I got back, I had those charges pending, and I knew that I would do anything to not feel this way again. And my first miracle came was when I was walking up to the trailer, like my third day. Christina had given me my desire chip, and
tell everybody what the trailer is, what you mean by that.
The trailer is it's a portable building outside of this church where I got sober at. And I got my last desire chip on September 30th of 2020 from Christina. And I didn't think that I would ever be sober again. And then like the next day, my wife calls me. I'm walking up there to my meeting, and I felt horrible when I got my last coin. I wanted to be sober so bad. And then I got a call saying that they dropped the charges on me, and Felicia goes, "But you have to go to AA." And I knew that I had to do AA. and I just knew that it was my time. I was beat down so bad, and I had to be great. I was grateful, so I changed. I used to work day shift. I ended up going to night shift so that I could be at the noon meeting every day, and I'm still at the noon meeting every day. 5 years and 3 months later. God, one of the first actions my sponsor told me, well, he gave me the 5 Alive, right? To get to a meeting every day, to pray. And he had me praying a lot. And I would thank God at night for my sobriety and the gift and call another alcoholic. Well, I took that serious. I burnt that phone up. I'm always, and early on, I listened to Sober Speak. This is why it's kind of a trip that I'm on it, because all my heroes are on this, and it's like, oh hell, I'm sitting in the place where giants have sat. The guys that I got sober, listening to Sober Speak and YouTubes and going to meetings every day and working the 12 steps with David, I've had a spiritual awakening and a new experience that it's been so good, and I just can't. I wouldn't trade this for anything. And there is no lurking notion, right? Dick always says, I love to talk about having the lurking notion. Well, I remember when I would get sober, I would tell my sponsor like 20 years ago, I miss the good life. I don't miss the good life. This is the good life. AA is like, it's awesome to me. All my friends are here. I have a host of friends.
Ricky, you seem highly intelligent to me. And do you have like a photographic memory?
I do.
Yeah.
I remember everything. I don't know why I do, but it's like I'm like the Rain Man.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's like
that's great. That's a great gift God has
remember
given you.
things,
Right?
And I mean, I'm that guy that went to school, and I didn't have to study.
Yeah.
I never had to study, and I went to Mary Immaculate. It was a Catholic school, and the nuns taught me well, and I just didn't have to. It was just it's just a gift. I remember when I went to high school, they would accuse me of cheating. And even at Mary Immaculate, they'd accuse me of cheating. And it's like, I'm not cheating. I know the material, and it pissed me off. It was like one of my resentments. And it didn't help that I probably went to high school in a cloud of smoke, but I'd have 100 on my,
right.
on my test. Or I made straight A's, and they didn't, and I even graduated a half semester early. It's like, whatever.
That's great, man. Yeah, I could tell by the way you remember things and you quote things and all that sort of stuff inside the meetings. I go, this guy is highly intelligent, or he remembers things most people wouldn't. I want you to also talk about music in your life and what sort of influence that has had and how it has worked with you in sobriety. At one point, you were going to play at one of those Sober Speak Live events, right?
Yeah, I was, but you didn't want me to. I don't have any original music. I need to write music and stuff.
Yeah, but I thought it was like you didn't want to play or something like that.
I was. You know, that's the reason
I didn't want
the reason I didn't want to play is because that's my bondage. It's my self consciousness and self centeredness. And I haven't. I started playing, and for some reason I associated music with being selfish, because I was always buying guitars and doing things and playing guitar instead of being a good dad or playing with my kids. But that's not true. It's just the way I need to start playing more. Mm-hmm. And my son recently took up piano, and he got so good at it. Well, actually, I took piano lessons when I was a child. My dad always had me in piano lessons, and that went into guitar, and I started playing guitar. And by the time I was in high school, I was like a little rock star. And if they'd have had YouTube back then, it would have been so excellent to watch the videos of us, because we were good. At 13 years old, I was playing like all of the Led Zeppelin songs and Rush songs and the whole album. And I guess the first time I ever got that we did a really big party out at Crown Park, and it was amazing. Everyone came, the girls from North Carrollton, cheerleaders, and we just thought we was going to be rock stars. So I thought I was, because they'd say, "Man, you're going to make it. You're going to make it." And I never made it, but I played in clubs and bars for like 10 years, and that's what I was going to do until I got the job where I'm at now.
I want you also to talk a little bit about your children, both the upsides and the downside. As you know, those kids had to go through, some bad years,
Oh,
but they've
yeah.
also seen you in recovery at the same time. So talk about that experience.
My, yeah, it's like, it's been, I put him through trauma, and that gives me a lot of guilt and shame. But my daughter has really, she's been, it doesn't bother her, but my son, he ended up um, getting hospitalized for, I want to say, eating disorder. That was rough, but,
And how old was he when you had
he
it?
was 10 years old at the time. No, he was 12,
12.
maybe 13. He's 13. Okay.
And you were how many years sober at the time?
I was 3 years sober,
Okay.
and the pain that I had from that it was great. I mean, he was gone, and he didn't talk to me for 2 months while he was there, because he said it was, the trauma was from my drinking, and I gave him PTSD. And God, my message to anyone out there is, we have to do this for our children. We have to, because it's just, the book calls it "Warped Lives of Blameless Children," and it wasn't his fault that I stole years from his life. But we're trying to, he's been through a lot of therapy, and he's doing so good. He yeah, he's actually happy. He plays guitar now too. I got him a Taylor for Christmas, and he's just a little. He's just like me. He got to be so good after he got out of treatment from his eating disorder. I ended up putting him in piano lessons, and he said he always wanted to play an instrument. And he's just got that genius mind. He's just really smart. But the better thing is that we did a lot of therapy. Me and Daniel, we're tight now. He loves me a whole bunch. I have a letter I would love to read.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So when Daniel was yeah, it's the fact that it took us. We've had such a long road to reconstruction. It's just a miracle that he's come so far, and I'm so proud of him. He's done so good, you guys, because you can't have any joy when your son is supposed to be asleep in another room, and he's not. He was gone, and it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. But anyway, last year or maybe 2 years ago, when I got my 4-year coin, Daniel gave me a Daniel gave me my medallion, and here's the speech that he wrote. I'm going to share it with y'all because it's special to me. Hello, I'm Daniel, Ricky's son. I'm going to keep this short but profound, because for the first time in a long time, I don't have anything complicated to say about my dad, Ricky Corona. My dad and I have had a very difficult relationship for as long as I can remember. And that's how it was up until a few months ago. I went downstairs to get some water in the middle of the night, and my dad was sitting on his chair watching YouTube and playing checkers on his iPad, as he does most nights after work. I don't really know how this next part came to be, but I ended up deciding to pull up a chair to his side so I could play checkers with my dad, because nothing inflates my ego quite like playing checkers with my dad. He showed me a really good song, and we played quite a few games. However, I wasn't really focused on the game, because that night I was shown something that I haven't seen in my dad for a long time, because I haven't really wanted to see it. I saw the truth. I saw my dad, Ricky, as he truly is. A guy who can be a pretty good dad if you let him. A guy who has been in as much pain as I have, which is a lot of pain. A guy being destroyed by regret but is filled with pride. A guy who has worked little by little every day to become who he now is. And finally, a guy who has and always will love me. That guy is simply my dad, Ricky. A guy who has spent his entire life fighting for the ability to stand up here, receiving his chip after 4 years of sobriety from his son, Daniel. And if I'm being honest, I've waited my whole life for this too. The ability to finally have a father who will always simply be my dad, Ricky. So it is with deepest pride that I finally get to say, Dad, here's your chip after 1,460 days of sobriety, 4 years.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. It's like they always materialize when we work. And if we were painstaking about this phase of our development, which was the amends, which I made amends with Daniel, I made amends with Brooklyn, my daughter, I made amends to my wife, and we have a truly great relationship. We're blessed beyond belief. I mean, it's a miracle how AA has helped me so much in my life.
Talk about sponsorship a little. I know you've helped a lot of other guys since you guys. I remember you talking about sponsoring people, like when you after like a year or whatever, and I'm going, I cannot believe Ricky is sponsoring people, and I don't mean that as a slight. I saw you, and we all saw you for many years in and out of this program, and just the fact that you were passing it along, just it made me so happy for you and the people you're helping. So talk about your experience with sponsorship.
God, that's what saved my life. When I first met David, he told me, "Look, you've been in and out of this program for 19 years. I'm gonna show you these steps so you can show them to someone else. It's the only way you're gonna survive." And when I was out in Denton or Aubrey, I knew that if I ever come back to AA, I'm gonna help others. And God, I've been doing that ever since. I have every day I'm with someone at Panera's before the meeting because I just have all these guys. And my rule is I take them to step 9, 10, 11, and they're out there sponsoring guys. I mean, Ryan, he's got 3 months and he's got a sponsee and he's doing so good. I mean, it's a miracle. And I always, just my whole sobriety, I've always had a new guy. It's just how I do it. It's how David does it. David sponsors a lot of guys. I mean, we have to give it away, right?
That's right, my friend.
And you know what makes a great sponsor? A willing sponsee. And that's just like, it's just, I love getting guys that are on fire for it, and to see the lights go on in their lives and to watch them go help others. It's just an experience that we don't want to miss. And for me, I've sponsored so many people, and I've only been here 5 years, and I've been through, like, I don't want to say give a number, but I will, because it's been about 60, and out of them 60, 10 are still going strong. It's just the numbers game is good, and how I do it is I take them through the work rather quickly, because it's what had to be done for me, and it's just, and that's how they did it back in the old days, right? Back when we had the 75% success rate. So, man, I'm just blessed. I have a couple. Most of the people that I've gotten lately have been referrals, like from people's who want their kids to get sponsored by me, and it's been good. And I have two. Yeah, it's amazing. I have a guy coming out of rehab on Monday that I get to meet, and his mom goes to meetings with us, and the fact that she trusts me with her children,
right?
That just it's good, and I'm ready. I'm ready to take it. We're gonna meet on Tuesday at Panera's. That's where I take my guys, and they know me there because I'm there most days, and it's just a way of life. It's just so satisfying.
Oh, that's cool. So when I was talking to you in the parking lot before we came over here, I said you want to go over and record a little bit, and you paused a little bit, and you said, "What if I suck?"
I'm afraid. I still have fear.
And well, I said, "You're not going to suck." And you didn't suck. And I think you did absolutely fantastic.
I got one thing to say.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a line in Bill's story about, for if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he wouldn't survive the certain trials and low spots that are sure to come our way. So, like, 3 years ago, my little sister died. That little sister who told me that she would never fight with me if I would only come back from Galveston. And I heard a fifth step the next day, and that's powerful to me. That's powerful that AA saved me. And when my dad died at 13 years sober, 21 years ago, I wasn't doing the program like I do it now. I didn't have any sponsees yet. I was 3 years sober. And he told me on his deathbed, Ricky, it's not too late for the program. And I believe that it's never too late for AA. If you're older and you're in AA, man, it's the most promising years of our existence lie ahead of us. And really the way to do it is it's just the secret sauce is sponsoring people. That's just all there is to it. And I'm going to always have a new guy. That's just been my rule. And I'm taking 2 guys through the book right now. And I try not to get too many because it gets tedious, but it's just worthwhile. It's designed for living. When Ebby introduced Bill through the steps and Bill introduced Bob through the 12 steps, they laid down a foundation and a way of life for all of us that's just satisfying. And that's what I have to say about sponsorship. It's life-saving and life-changing.
The secret sauce is sponsoring people. I love that. All right. Is there anything else you want to say before I wrap it up with page 164 of the big book?
I'm good.
All right. What was that like for you?
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on here. It was a miracle, and hopefully I don't think I sucked too bad. But.
No, you didn't suck at all. You did absolutely fantastic. I loved having you in. Was this like what you thought it would be like? A little different, about the same, like recording an episode?
It was good.
Good.
It was good, and I love your studio, Studio AA. I finally graced the halls. I loved it. Thank you so much, John. You have no idea how this makes me happy because Sober Speak saved my life. I have forwarded your podcast to countless people, countless, and I talk about you in meetings. I talk about this podcast. It's like that's why I was nervous because this is like it's really an honor. And it got me sober. So thank you for letting me share with your audience.
Of course. Gosh, I loved it. Yeah. And I know that you know so many of the people. And in fact, I know I think you have relationships with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the podcast, you'll say, hey, how can I get in touch with so-and-so?
Yeah. Coop, John from Vancouver, people I met at conferences. There's a lot of people that we met on. I go to Big Book Solution. It's a Zoom meeting. And if anyone's out there that wants to be on my Zoom meeting, man, hit for it. It's so good. Gary Kincaid goes there and Ricky Russell and just a lot of good people. And I'm there every Thursday and Sunday. And we're all just doing AA the way I guess it should be done. We're just talking about the Big Book and we're all a bunch of Big Book enthusiasts, I should say. And it's amazing. And I found that because of Sober Speak, and I'm just grateful.
Very cool. All right. So page 164 of the big book says, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us, like me and Ricky C., as we trudge the road of happy destiny, as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Once again, thanks for coming by, my friend. Love you. You're a good guy.
Love you too.
Once again, Ricky C., it was a blast spending time with you here in Studio AA. God bless you, my friend. You've come so far, and I appreciate you coming here and recording part of your story with me. Excuse me. Now, on to a little bit of listener feedback. Jimmy writes in, and Jimmy says, Jimmy cries corn. I don't care. No, what's that song? But anyway, Jimmy writes in and he says, hi, John. Happy to hear about the newsletter you're sending out, and the podcast continues to evolve. And once again, if you're not on our newsletter list, go to soberspeak.com and sign up there. Or you could just email me, john@soberspeak.com, JOHN, and I will get you on that list. Anyway, he says, your podcast was like the primer to build my courage and get into the rooms. I just celebrated 3 years alcohol and drug free. OFDAAT. He says the F stands for friggin' or any other expletive you want. He says, when I started listening to your podcast, I was desperate for a solution, but apparently not desperate enough to stumble into an actual meeting. I would be hungover at the gym, listening to your podcast, sweating out the booze and toxins from the night before, and I would listen to your podcast. And the more I listened, in parentheses, and it did not take long, the more I was moved by my HP to get to an actual meeting. Your podcast is no nonsense, relatable, amplifying experience, strength, and hope across the world. I often recommend your podcast to numerous Zoom meetings that I go to, and I know that anyone that opens it up will feel the love and the spirit from the fellowship zapping through the airwaves. Thank you for your service, John. May God bless and keep you until then. Sincerely, Jimmy. Oh, that's so cool, Jimmy. Thank you for writing in. Thank you. That really, I remember receiving that. That absolutely made my day. Thank you, sir. And I'm glad that we can be a small part of your journey. Michael writes in, I think it's Michael, Mikal, writes in, and they say Joe Muck and Dave F. So Michael spells Muck, Muck. So this is just me giving Joe Muck a kind of, I don't know, nickname or shorten up his last name or whatever, but it's actually Joe MC. And they say, Dear John, my name is Michael, and I've been sober for 1 year. I attend meetings on a regular basis. I have a dynamite sponsor, and I'm feverishly working the steps. I listen to your podcast throughout my shift at work, and I am in love with it. The spiritual journey that I'm on gets fed daily from the beautiful beautiful yet to the point guest. I get a feeling that is not exactly what they say, but I think that they're saying from the beautiful guest. Something like that. Anyway, I was wondering if you could possibly inform me of when and where Joe M. and Dave F. or anyone on their spirit level spiritually would be speaking and where. I live in a small town of 800 people in northeast Iowa, and I'm willing to travel anywhere to see these guys in person. Thanks for all you do. God bless. Well, Michael, as you know, I copied you on an email with both Joe Muck and Dave F. I don't know what their schedules are, but hopefully they were able to fill you in. And gosh, if you want to come down and see David G, well, no, you'll be able to see David G because we're going to have that online step study here coming up real soon if you want to join that. So anyway, hopefully we get to see you there. Thank you. Tara writes in, and Tara says, keep these newsletters coming, please. She said, my sobriety date is 11/2/17. I'm also a mental health and substance use counselor, and I love the content. I am going to pass this resource on to my clients. Bravo. And I'll see you on the road to happy destiny, and keep trudging. Tara. What, Tara? Thank you so much for writing in, and thank you and congratulations on your, nearly 10 years now of sobriety. And I know the mental health and psychiatry community needs good counselors, and I'm so glad that you have the experience in recovery to coach people that come to you seeking. Maybe they're seeking abuse. Hey, man, there's all kinds out there nowadays. I hope they pay you well. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So anyway, Tara, thank you. Now I'm thrown off. I'm just glad that you wrote in. God bless you, Tara. Nathan writes in, and this one is titled, Nathan wrote the subject line is shame, death, life, and gratitude. And Nathan says, John M. Hi there. Hello, John. It's Nathan here from Wales in the United Kingdom. I'm the blind guy with the guide dog that writes you every couple of years about one thing or another. I do remember you. Yes, sir, Nathan. As you have been going back and reposting old episodes that some people may not delve deep enough into and find and listen to them, I would like to make one very important suggestion. It is for an episode that I listen to 2 or 3 times a year. It's an episode that I think is so important, and I learn through it with anyone that the fellowship that I work with. It deals with shame in such a way that someone like me can understand it, and how it affects me as an alcoholic. By the way, just so you know what Nathan was referring to there in the beginning, I've been republishing some older episodes that were hits, and I call them like greatest hits episodes. Anyway, he says this episode that he's talking about is episode number 61 on the 19th of January 2019, Vanessa Sanford, and it's called "Breathe in Resilience and Breathe Out Shame." I remember that one very well. And then Nathan says, John, for someone like me, an alcoholic like I am, I have learned that if I drink again, I will die, and it will lead to my agonizing, destructive death. In this episode with Vanessa, how she explained shame has quite literally kept me sober, which means she has saved my life many times over. I want to never forget that I learned in this episode. I want to never forget what I learned in this episode, and hence why I listen to her 2 or 3 times a year. It's one of the few Sober Speak podcast episodes where I paused and made notes that I can learn from, and then I can use when helping others, or refer to it when asked to give a main share. To me, it really is important. And while you're looking back at previous episodes, I would love for you to replay that episode and share with others who, like me, may deal with shame in a new way that is dangerous to our own survival, whether drinking or sober. Vanessa will have never known this, but I'm indebted to her for helping me understand such a difficult and painful emotion. When I first heard this podcast, I was less than a year sober. I did not know if I was going to make it. And now, I have a chip for 8 years continuous sobriety. Good for you, Nathan. I could not have done it without her and what I learned in this episode. I should have reached out before and shared my gratitude, and I apologize for not doing that sooner. But you looking back at old episodes has given me an opportunity to thank her through you and ask you to replay the episode as to share this with others, as it has always helped anybody that I have worked with. And when I have used it, and when I've used what I have learned in this episode with them. John, I apologize if this sounds very dramatic. I can only share my experience, which has been to deal with shame in the right way to achieve long-lasting sobriety, or I will die from alcoholism. I hope you choose to play this episode again, and I hope that it gets many more people like it. I hope it helps a great many more people like it has for me. Lastly, a thank you to you. It was Vanessa that said those vital things, but it was you that sought her out, recorded it, and then gifted it to all your listeners. Therefore, John, for as hard as it can be for you to accept praise and compliments, John, you have saved my life too. Much love, Nathan. Much love back at you, Mr. Nathan. God bless you. As you know, I copied you on an email with Vanessa. And for those of you who didn't catch that, once again, that is episode number 61. On the 19th of January, 2019, Vanessa Sanford, and it's called Breathe in Resilience and Breathe Out Shame. Wow, I never know which one they're listening to. I mean, this has been a long time ago when I recorded that, Nathan, and I'm so glad that you have gotten so much out of it. Vanessa is a shining light in this world, and I appreciate you writing in, my friend. That just was really, really heartwarming. Okay, listen, I've got more listener feedback, but I'm going to catch up with it next week. Right. You guys are wonderful. If anybody else wants to write in, John, John, at soberspeak.com. If you want to get on that newsletter, once again, go to www.soberspeak.com. Look for the way to sign up. And that is another episode of Sober Speak in the books. Okay, so somebody that that I was in some conversations with earlier this week. They were asking some stuff about the podcast, and I wrote her a note back, and then she wrote back to me, and she said, "Sober speak soon." Like we're going to talk soon, you know? And I said, hey, I really may have to steal that. Her name is Callie. And anyway, so I'm going to end it this week with Sober Speak soon. And may God bless you and keep you until then. Hopefully we catch up next week. Love you guys so much. Thanks for all your feedback. God bless you.